think we have to rethink marriage for a second, because when we think about marriage now, I think we kind of think of it as this romantic kind of relationship, boy meets girl, attracted to each other. There's sort of like this sort of this, I don't know how to describe it other than romantic kind of relationship. But in reality, the biblical image of marriage, while it may include in the book of Song of Solomon, for instance, that sort of romantic element, in reality, the metaphor of marriage in Scripture is primarily about the commitment that marriage represents, the absolute commitment between two parties for each other's mutual benefit. And very often, even in places, for instance, like in Isaiah 61, throughout Isaiah actually, but in many of the prophets, you'll see that the idea of Israel or God's people as the bride of God, at least in terms of metaphorical language, is very common. And the point there tends to be that God is committed to his children like a husband is committed to providing for a wife. And that implies then that there should be a two-way commitment there. His commitment to his people as a husband and their commitment to him as a wife. So when you have in Revelation chapter 19 this big wedding feast, the whole point there is to say what should have been the case in Hosea, what should have been the case in Isaiah, what should have been the case in Deuteronomy, all those places that talk about God as the husband of his people. In Revelation 19, you have for the first time an actual marriage wherein God is the husband who is faithful, but also the people of God now are the bride ready to be married, because it actually says that in chapter 19, it says, or 18 and 19, it indicates that the bride is adorned, that the bride is actually ready for marriage, and she's clothed with fine linen, which is specifically in the book. It says that fine linen essentially is the righteous deeds of the saints. And at the very beginning of the book, John makes it clear that the church is going through suffering, and that's why he's writing the book. But just like in James and other places, he also makes it clear that the process of suffering for this church in the book of Revelation is in many ways a preparation for the kind of purity they need to face God. Just like in James where it says that you should count it all joy when you suffer, because ultimately suffering leads to, in that context, maturation and perfection, that you mature and become perfect. So it is here we have a bride, the church, the people of God, who through suffering in the book of Revelation, all through chapters 1 through 18, has been purified and strengthened to the point where in chapter 19, the people of God are finally ready for the actual commitment that they've never really had before in its fullness. Then you have this marriage with celebration and new life and all of that, and now you have a husband who takes care of his wife and a wife who loves and respects her husband. And it's that commitment that we need to focus on, that honest commitment for each other's benefit.